It's no secret that if the world we knew it were run by women, we'll all be experiencing a vastly different reality. As for whether that would be a good change or bad change, honestly I have no idea. But it looks like we have an isekai anime that comes up with this kind of world. There's a young Japanese guy. He's a normal person, an ordinary individual, nothing suspicious about him whatsoever, other than the fact that his little sister practically blackmailed and coerced him into playing a dating simulator game. And I know we're used to this kind of weirdness, but that's not what it is, because the story of this game takes place in a matriarchy, which essentially means a society that is run by women. So he begins playing this game. He doesn't really like it, in fact he doesn't like it at all, but because of his younger sister, he has no choice but to play. So he plays, and he plays, and he plays some more, until finally, 2 days later, he finishes the game for good. He's finally free. Unfortunately, it's been a while since he had last slept. He was exhausted, sleep-deprived, and starving. As anyone would in this situation, he decides to take a trip to the convenience store and gets himself something to eat. Unfortunately, that's where the isekai magic enters the chat. While leaving his apartment complex, he loses hold of himself, trips, and basically falls to his death. But of course, he opens his eyes in a new world. A world where there's technology, but people still live rural lives. Also, did I mention how the islands float in the sky? Weird stuff we have here, but for better or for worse, our protagonist was now a part of it. He has been reincarnated as Leon Faux Bartford. Doesn't it sound like he's a noble? Well, yes, but actually no. Since this world is run by women, it's common for noble ladies to have paramours, and, well, that's who Leon's father is. He's a paramour to a noble lady named Zola. So, technically, Leon is a noble since his stepmother is a noble. But considering how his parents are treated like servants, we can't really say he is a noble. Leon is surprised by this. He and his siblings have shoddy clothes, while Zola's actual children are well dressed. Later, when he's with his older brother in the shelter, he asks him about the elitism, why Zola herself lives in the mansion while they're stuck in a shelter. His brothers explain how she doesn't care because they're not her direct children. His brother also tells him to study hard so that he can marry someone of status while he's in the academy. Now, until this point, Leon was still not quite sure of what was going on. Maybe it's because he hadn't instantly acquired all of his memories from his previous life, or maybe it's because the real-life graphics, but it took Leon until just now to realize that he's actually in the world of that dating sim game his sister had asked him to play. Sadly, he doesn't have a single happy memory of him while playing the game. It was simply revolting. Anyways, the flow of time continues, and it's already been 10 years since our protagonist woke up in this world. He's now a teenager preparing himself to go to the academy. Though in this world, most men go to the academy solely for the sake of finding a good wife or at least becoming a paramour. Leon himself has reservations about this, especially when his stepmother asks him to marry her friend's daughter. Now, ordinarily, I wouldn't really mind if the protagonist actually says yes to this kind of situation. I mean, in a world where women have the authority, she's a noble, so if he just marries her, he'll have an easier life. Unfortunately, the so-called friend's daughter she spoke of is, well, 50 years old. Plus, she's pretty ugly and fat. If the gender roles were reversed, Twitter would have had a field day. But in this case, it just feels like a light joke. Leon should have called his stepmother on her nonsense right away, but she's already made it clear that if he doesn't oblige, he'll be sent off to the battlefield and die. And that wouldn't be very pleasant, now would it? And so this is where Leon uses his game knowledge to his advantage and goes to find a powerful ship, which was originally meant to be discovered by the game's female protagonist. Leon finds the ship, because of course he does, and he already knew where it was supposed to be. Although the ship had a built-in artificial intelligence that initially tries to kill our boy because the AI can't properly identify him, however, when the robot declares that the current humans who can use magic won the war against the previous humans who couldn't use magic, this ship and the AI were built by the previous humans, and the reason it attacked Leon is because it thought Leon was from the current humans who use magic. Conveniently, Leon's soul was still the good old human soul, which essentially gives him the privilege to claim ownership of this ship. As for the ship's name, it's Luxion. And from here on out, Luxion will be our boy's companion as a flying computer. Back at home, his stepmother rejoices at the idea that Leon should be dead by now. Little does she know that Leon is on his way back with a disgusting amount of treasure that he looted using his game knowledge. That's right, boys, within just the first episode, our boy has already attained financial independence. Now he can live his life without giving a single damn about what his stepmother thinks. So he sets out to attend the academy. This is where he'll meet the other characters whom he's already engaged with in-game. Or to put it simply, think this is the point in his life where he's about to enter the game's actual storyline. He tells Luxion that all he needs to do is find a good wife so that he can just live peacefully ever after. Sadly, he has no choice but to look for a noble wife who is at least the same rank as his stepmother because he's now a baron thanks to how he's building a tourist destination on an uninhabited island. Leon is then present on site when the actual main characters of the game appear before him. You have Prince Julius, there are his friends, Jilk, Brad, Chris, and Greg, and the game's plot pretty much comes down to the heroine choosing one of these 5 as her husband. There's also the supposed antagonist named Angelica. She has a lot of money. Angelica's actually already Prince's fiancée, which is why he starts socializing and engaging to a girl named Mari. She doesn't take kindly to it. But the prince replies by telling her that she's just his fiancée. She has no right to meddle with his social life. The interesting bit here is how the actual game storyline, the heroine is not Mari, it's someone else. So where is the actual heroine? Well, Leon soon comes across her. She's a commoner who's studying here on a scholarship, and her name is Olivia. She was actually all teary-eyed because of the bullying. Leon invites her for tea, and both have a great time together. Following this, Leon's sister tells him that the prince is going to take the throne one day, so he'd better befriend him right now. There's a dungeon exploration event where the noble students pretty much try to use Leon and Olivia as shields for themselves so that they don't get much damage while defeating the monsters, and in the end, Prince Julius and his buddies take all of the credit. That girl, Marie, seemed to be having the time of her life getting involved with so many handsome guys. Leon had gotten himself injured, but Olivia heals him using her powers. In doing so, she also reveals that she was accepted into the academy on a scholarship thanks to her healing abilities. But what intrigues our protagonist the most is Marie. She's single-handedly messing up the entire game's storyline now that she has somehow replaced Olivia as the main heroine. Plus, when Marie is shown kissing Brad, who is one of the prince's 4 friends, it's also hinted that she knows this is a game. This doesn't escape Leon's notice. He instantly asks his personal AI to start gathering dirt on this woman. For what it's worth, she might as well be a reincarnation like himself. Later, there's a party where Angelica publicly states that she saw Marie holding hands with another guy. She wants the prince and his friends to know that Marie is pretty much involved with all of them. Believe it or not, this infidelity doesn't lead to any drama. Sure, the prince's friends love Marie, but he himself declares that he's the one who loves her the most. Hearing this, Angelica quickly challenges Marie to a duel to stay relevant, but all 5 boys offer to be her champions for the duel, while it seemed that no one was bothering to step up for Angelica. The situation was interesting, and so our protagonist chooses to act. Besides, he already knew that Angelica doesn't get a good ending. She'll be disgraced and end up with an insecure, abusive husband. Yes, Leon may have wanted to lay low, but he couldn't ignore this. He steps up and offers to be Angelica's champion. Plus, he also declares that he'll take them on, meaning he'll go up against all 5 of them, one by one. Angelica states that if she wins, Marie should stay away from Prince, while Marie replies that her demand is that Angelica stops bullying her. Hearing this, Leon was now fully convinced that Marie is also someone who is reincarnated in this world. Then, in the days preceding the duels, Leon notices how students are betting on it, so he makes the conscious decision to bet a small amount of fortune on himself. Just like that, it's the day of the duels. They're going to fight in battle armor, and Leon's armor is delivered by Luxion. It's called Arangaz. The other students try to make fun of him for going with such unusual armor, but what they don't realize is that he's actually a main character. Olivia seemed confused at this too. This is where Angelica explains to her that Arangaz was made by old humans. It is large and slow, but the one of those 5 will be using are all enhanced for speed and agility. Popular opinion was that Leon would be brutally humiliated, but he easily knocks him out even though he had accidentally equipped himself with a shovel and not a sword. Then there's Greg. He uses a spear and has a lot of pride in his armor. Though Leon couldn't care less, he breaks the armor, then humiliates the man. There's Chris, whose weakness is apparently guns, and so Leon shoots and destroys his sword. Seeing all this, Leon's sister named Jenna is visibly upset. She doesn't want him sullying the family's name by messing things up with all these rich studs, so she somehow gets coerced by Jilk into planting explosives on her brother's armor. Leon's AI tells him about it, but he doesn't care because he knows his armor can easily withstand much more. Jilk was next in line to battle him, but he goes down just as easy as the ones who preceded him. Then it's finally the prince himself. Marie doesn't like how things are progressing, which is to be expected since if Leon wins this one too, Angelica would be the winner. The fight was about to begin, but Leon asks the prince about Olivia, just in case. The prince replies that yes, he's heard of her, but the 2 of them haven't actually met. This just goes to show how drastically the story of the game has changed. In the original storyline, the prince meets Olivia at the beginning of the game. Their duel begins. Leon is verbally aggressive. He calls out how strange it is for him to share the girl he loves with his friends, but the prince was beyond saving. He replies that Marie loves him for who he is. Leon then tries to scare Julius by stating that if he continues doing this to Angelica, he can easily be stripped of his title of prince. But even so, Julius remains steadfast on the current relationship he has with Marie. In fact, he'd rather die than lose Marie. Meanwhile, Angelica couldn't hold back the tears. Well, the prince is her fiancé after all. Whatever, Leon had enough of it. He finishes off the battle by defeating the prince. Though Olivia tells him that pretty much everyone is angry with him for what he did to the prince, but he says that he saw it coming. He knew that he'd be getting expelled when he chose to fight the prince. Julius, on the other hand, cancels his engagement with Angelica because he wasn't joking when he said he'd rather die than lose Marie. This could create a lot of complications for Leon's family, so he talks to Angelica's father and asks for protection from the prince's family. In exchange, he'll accept his expulsion and also surrender his title as a baron. The man agrees, but asks Leon to take Angelica to the countryside as well. She needs to rest and recuperate considering all that happened and how the prince has broken their engagement. Sure enough, Leon returns back home together with Angelica. His stepmother was going to give him a hard time, but Angelica's mere presence shuts her up. Well, it's not like she can tell Leon what to do anyway. Our boy has a private island, and he and Angelica enjoy soothing baths in the hot springs. Olivia joins as well, and the three of them become even closer friends. Meanwhile, Marie, who was just using the rich nobles as an investment for her future, doesn't like the current situation. The boys have lost their titles as nobles, so they're raiding dungeons to earn some money. But even though Marie may feel personally dissatisfied, the boys are elated. They haven't felt this alive in years. The queen and king are impressed with their son's positive change in behavior, so much so that they decide to reward Leon by making him a 6th rank noble as a thank you for changing their son for the better. Leon doesn't like this turn of events. Since he's a noble again, he has to return to the academy and start looking for a wife, but maybe it isn't so bad because his sweet and beautiful friends, Angelica and Olivia, are with him. Next up is the student festival arc. Leon, Angelica, and Olivia host a maid cafe for their part. Leon's sister, Jenna, has her own troubles. She managed to steal a rich man's son, but now she wants her brother to make sure that the guy's girlfriends don't come after him, but Leon doesn't care. He's preoccupied with the apparent annoyance he has for Marie and her lovers because they have also opened up a cafe. Still, Leon's cafe gets plenty of elite customers. There's a girl named Carla Fo Wayne who came to see them at the cafe. And then there's also the queen herself who came just to see Leon. Their cafe was having a hard time because of one unruly customer named Stephanie. The queen didn't take it as well, so she stepped up. But apparently Stephanie lacked the social awareness to recognize that this woman was the queen. She goes too far and starts insulting said queen. This angers Leon. He personally beats up her servants, and of course, when the clarity hits her, she has no choice but to run away because she had insulted the queen. Apparently, our boy quite likes the queen. He even asks her to marry him in a half-serious tune, which makes the queen feel flattered and makes Julius feel annoyed. Now, the other girl who came looking for Leon, Carla Fo Wayne, requests him to save her family. Leon couldn't refuse her request because it was all official, or something like that. It'll make sense later. By the way, the bullies still haven't left Olivia alone. Now they're referring to our sweet girl as Angelica's pet. Moving on with the festival, there was a flying bike race, and the students were all betting. Leon asks his buddy Luxion to do some prediction programming so that they can use this as an opportunity to make some good money. Now, Jilk, one of the 5 lovers, had a fiancé too. He dumped her for Marie, so she took out the anger by getting him injured before the race. But then, Marie asks Leon to race in his stead. Her case was that if she doesn't participate, Angelica would lose even more of her social standing. Leon ends up agreeing to the race. His main opponent is a third-year student named Dan, but they both hit it off thanks to their mutual hatred of Jilk. The race begins and the racers try to attack Leon. He still manages to win, but his bike explodes, causing him to fall from the sky. Dan rushes and saves him because they both hate the same guy. So as this was going on, Olivia had been emotionally hurt because of Stephanie's words that said that Angelica used to be just as much of a bully to the commoners as she is. Angelica heard this and attacked Stephanie right away, but Olivia was still hurt. Other students had been calling her Angelica's pet, and Angelica herself has a history of looking down on commoners. She was in turmoil. But thanks to Leon's gesture, telling her that she should give Angelica another chance, Olivia is then approached by Carla. Later, as it turns out, all of this was a ploy by Stephanie to destroy Angelica and Olivia's relationship. Carla was following Stephanie's orders. But they don't know that Leon has in-game knowledge. He knows that Carla's land was in danger because of sky pirates, which is why she asked for help. But he also knew that it was actually Stephanie who hired the sky pirates. It was all one nice trick to send Olivia into battle where she's supposed to lose, and yes, they've already sent her there. In the actual story of the game, Olivia defeats the pirates and it's a major character point for her, but in this story, Leon decides to do it himself. Luxion warns him that maybe it's not a good idea to rob his friend of character growth, while Olivia was getting played by Carla. Angelica eventually hears about this and threatens Stephanie that if she does anything to Olivia, she'll pay. The pirates have a few goofy characters, though Brad and Greg from Marie's 5 lovers were called in by Carla to help with the mission. By the way, Brad is Stephanie's ex-fiancé. Seriously, how many engagements has Marie ended just by showing up? Anyway, the pirates are nothing in the face of Leon's Aragons. Greg had lost to him in that duel, but he knows that war is very different from duels, and so he begins to develop some respect for Leon. Carla was now going to put the blame on Olivia and make her feel even worse, but Leon steps up and exposes her plan to her father. He explains how Stephanie planned it all for the sole purpose of ruining Olivia. Unfortunately, Stephanie may have succeeded because Olivia was now having a hard time opening up to her friends. She was getting sad and depressed, just wondering if Angelica really sees her as a pet, or if Leon is only after her body. Leon tries talking to her again, but she shuts him up, saying that she's a person and not his pet. This was a moment of realization for Leon as well. He finally realized his mistake. He shouldn't have taken care of the pirates by himself. He deprived his friend of a valuable opportunity for growth, and now he can only stay silent while she's emotionally devastated. He knew what he did was wrong. He shouldn't have meddled, especially since even Marie's 5 lovers all let her do things on her own if she wants, and so Leon decides that he shouldn't meddle anymore. Then, while Marie is raiding dungeons to try to find a certain relic before anyone else, the pirates attack the ship. Olivia seeks to help, but the pirate captain subdues her. Brad and Greg try to help, but their skills pale in comparison. Seeing this situation, Leon feels relieved because this is more similar to how the actual story goes. Brad and Greg help Olivia. This is progress, though he still steps in and defeats the captain. He also steals the holy necklace away from him. This is what Marie didn't want to fall into Olivia's hands because it'll help her become a saint. Sadly, Leon then deliberately distances himself from Olivia. He wants her to become friends with those 5 lover boys instead of him because that's how it was supposed to go. He hopes that she'll soon forget about him and walks away. If only he knew just how badly this was going to hurt Olivia. The one who tells him about it is Angelica. She was enraged at Leon for not understanding Olivia, but even her own friendship with Olivia was more fragile than ever. Later, Luxion helps with finding evidence that the pirates were linked with Stephanie. She's then arrested by the royal family. Leon decides to give the credit for clearing the mission to Brad and Greg. He also asks their families to give them their noble titles back because now they've earned them. They're grateful to Leon for doing this. Although looks like Leon has gotten himself even deeper into the rabbit hole. The queen promotes him to a lower 5th rank nobility. He's now even higher than his own father. This annoys him, but what annoys him even more is when Claire's father thanks him for making Julk apologize to his daughter. He makes it so that when Leon finally graduates, he is an upper 5th rank nobility. Up next, we have the school trip arc. There's a shrine visit where Leon comes across Angelica and Olivia. The wholesome aura of the shrine charms the 3 friends and helps them reforge their friendship. Leon shares shrine charms with them. He gives Angelica a red elemental blessing and gives Olivia a white elemental blessing. As for himself, he goes with fortune in war. Unexpectedly, war happens right away when Princess Gertrude from the Fanis Duchy shows up and declares it. In the actual game, this wasn't supposed to happen until the end game. Angelica is taken hostage. Most of the students are cowering and shivering in fear. They're supposed to hold off the Gertrude, but they're too afraid. This is where Leon takes charge. He asserts that they're all cowards. He shames them by calling them out on being false nobles and tells them to fight. The second highest ranked noble, which is right under Angelica, named Deirdre Roseblaze, felt insulted by Leon's words. She boldly starts talking about her family's accomplishments, but that's what Leon says. Those accomplishments are nothing. They belong to her ancestors, not her. Just like that, Leon continued to talk. He told them to stand up and fight. He wanted the students to give their hearts. Sure enough, although they felt ashamed, angered, and even wounded by Leon's words, they finally had united in the desire to fight back. As for Deirdre, she was mesmerized by Leon's ruthless lack of respect for her, so much so that the girls basically just fell head over heels for him. Now, let's just say that she's now in heat because of Leon. Leon himself promises Olivia that he'll save Angelica no matter what, and leaves to save her. But Gertrude sends her monsters after him, which she can control using her flute. The commander then fires on their ship, but the white elemental blessing charm, which Leon had given her, ends up activating her dormant saint powers, which in turn allows her to create a shield around the ship. That's right, Olivia protects everyone from the shot that was fired. Leon is pleased by this. While Olivia protects everyone, he invades the enemy ship, manages to free Angelica, goes after and captures Princess Gertrude, and removes the commander's signature mustache as revenge for bullying them. Princess Gertrude was controlling the monsters, but now that she's been captured, she lets them go because they'll instinctively try to attack her, which will be a win for her since they're now at the enemy ship. However, Angelica has been freed. The red elemental blessing charm harnesses her fire magic. She uses that to protect the ship when Olivia collapses from using too much of her power. Angelica reassures her sweet Olivia that she is stronger than she thinks she is. She doesn't realize it until she looks back. Truth be told, she's never held them back even once. Olivia has always been strong. Then things get hectic once again because of the war. Olivia tries to protect Angelica but ends up falling from the ship, but thankfully Leon catches her. Here, Olivia finally reveals what she's been bottling up all this time. She reprimands him for trying to distance himself from her, and then, even though they were still in the middle of the war, Olivia manages to summon enough heart to declare her love. That's right, she confesses her love for Leon. What a sweet and wholesome moment. But hold on, because we still have a war going on. Conveniently, Leon's main ship ultimately arrives to save the day. Leon then pilots Arangaz and then braces himself to give the enemy a permanent PTSD. He wants to make it so the enemy nation may never dare think of attacking their nation again. In response to this, Commander Garrett brings out his secret weapon, a Black Knight. This was tough. Leon couldn't handle the Black Knight at first because the other guy simply had way more experience, but he manages to trap him using a beat hug. The commander was now desperate. He wanted all of their military might to focus on destroying everything, even himself. Be that as it may, Luxion's main ship was actually hiding in the clouds. It comes out and destroys their army of monsters. Both Commander Garrett and the wielder of Black Knight, Sir Vandal, can only lay in disgrace since they've been defeated by Leon. Leon steps up and claims Vandal's legendary sword for himself. However, he still lets Chris from the Five Lovers take credit for their victory so he can become his family's heir again. Days begin to pass and things are mostly back to normal. The Five Lovers do end up building a new armor, which Greg then pilots so that they can challenge Leon, and if they win, he'll stop meddling in their relationships. Leon was like, alright, I guess I'll just lose. He just wanted to lose so that he could then catch a break from all these duels. But during the duel, Luxion informs him that there's a fault in their armor. It's going to explode and kill Greg. This left Leon with no choice but to save Greg by destroying their armor. Of course, this meant that he won again. Poor Leon, a protagonist so overpowered he wins even when he doesn't want to. By the way, what do you think he got for his fortitude in the war and for capturing Gertrude? Well, he received a Distinguished Service Medal and was promoted to Viscount. Marie, on the other hand, had acquired the Saint's Bracelet. Now she has to find the other two items so that she can then replace Olivia as the heroine for good. But hey, what about the love confession? The war was still going on, and so Leon has yet to give our sweet girl an answer. She isn't in a hurry, at least that's what she says. She's ready to wait for his response regardless of how long it takes. And that is why, for better or for worse, this story continues in the light novel. Anyways, Luxion observes that Leon and Marie are quite identical in the way that they use their knowledge of the game to breeze through the plot.
Could it be that Marie is actually Leon's younger sister from his previous life? And how is Luxion making these observations about it being a game? Find out on the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball.
Sorry. And that's the end of the video. As always, if you liked what you saw, subscribe to the channel. I'll be uploading a lot of videos just like this, so I'll see you at the next one.